What's up, you guys? I'm Eric. Welcome back to my channel, No You Grow Up. Today I'm going to be doing the second part of my room tour, which is going to consist of all my stuff that's not Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So my G.I. Joes, X-Men, Spider-Man, MOTU Origins, Transformers, Power Rangers Lightning Collection, and a few other things. So I originally planned on doing this part a little bit different. So I originally planned on breaking my collection up into 3 different parts, going through each one individually, doing the before and after for each one of those videos. But the way I kind of have everything else laid out in here, I'm going to probably end up mixing some stuff from the last 2/3 of my collection, so the before and after is kind of going to have to be all together. So what I plan on doing now is covering the before of the rest of my room, and then I'll have my third video which will cover the after of the rest of my room, because a lot of that stuff, like I said, is going to kind of get mixed between shelves the way it is right now. So I'm going to go ahead, get stuff moved around in here, start filming, and go over the remainder of my collection.
Alright, you guys, so I have my couch moved, and this is what I call the back corner of my room. I have my Marvel Legends collection back here, which I only collect Spider-Man retro carded figures, and then all X-Book related characters. They're going to get a pretty big expansion here when I do my reset. I have my Power Rangers Lightning collection down there as well. Again, they're probably going to get a couple more shelves as well, but there's not really a whole lot more for them that I'll be collecting. I have my Star Wars stuff down at the bottom there. Kind of cool story behind that. I'll go through that later. A lot of that stuff's going to get condensed down as well. Again, so I got to make more room for Power Rangers and Marvel. They're going to take up the bulk of the area back there now. And then over on those shelves over there, I have my MOTU Origins figures, which will probably stay in the same place. I have one other idea where I might want to move those, so we'll see how things go when I start resetting things. Alright, so that area that I just showed you was the area that was intended for the second video, so moving over here is what was intended for the third video. So this is all my G.I. Joe stuff. I have all my anime manga stuff over here as well. I have Transformers down at the bottom. I have some of my Lego stuff worked in over here, and then the Simpsons stuff at the top, and then one shelf for Harry Potter over there. Over here I have those Ghostbusters Kenner retro carded figures. I have a couple rings set up for the Masters of the WWE Universe figures up there. Really wish I could have found more of those figures when they were out. Those were probably the hardest figures I've ever had to try to find. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and start getting into the details of this stuff over here. Alright, so moving over here is my Marvel Legends collection. This is probably my second favorite collection I have, behind my Turtles collection, which is far and away a front runner, but I do love my Marvel Legends stuff. When I was a kid, I was a huge Turtles fan up until I started getting into X-Men, and that was kind of just what knocked Turtles off for me, and from there on it was pretty much just X-Men were the center of everything for me. Alright, so starting up top here we have the Spider-Man retro carded figures. So I was collecting all the X-Men stuff, and then one day I just happened to be in Walmart and the first wave hit, and I just saw that Spider-Man. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to turn down a retro carded Spider-Man figure. Didn't really have intentions of getting into this line, but I saw a Shocker a little bit later, and those were really the only 2 I had for a while. I didn't know how deep it was I wanted to go with it, and by then all the figures I kind of wanted started to dry up, which was really only that Green Goblin figure. But then they started coming out with a couple other waves, and they were all pretty easy to get. I actually ended up getting the Green Goblin figure eventually. I got it at a toy show for $10, if you can believe it or not. I'll go over the story for that another day, but it's definitely one of my best finds I've probably ever had doing anything like that. Yeah, I'm just really excited for more of the stuff to come out. At the time of doing this voiceover, I do have the Rhino figure, which will go in that corner back there on my reset. Alright, so we have one of my favorite shelves in the collection. This is my X-Men Blue and Gold Team shelf. Got the Gold Team over here, the Blue Team on the right over there. I definitely, like everybody else, I'm a bigger fan of the Blue Team. Got Bishop back there in the corner. I always kind of considered him to be part of the Gold Team, even though he wasn't technically there for the split. I think they put him on some of those trading cards. He was on the Gold Team, but yeah, just really happy to have both those teams fleshed out. Still missing Jubilee and Professor X. Coming over here to my X-Force shelf, which again is really exciting to be getting all the figures for this one now. I just got the Siren figure in the mail a couple days ago, so she'll be going in there. My new cannonball fell in the abyss over there, so I had to put the old cannonball out there to hold it down until I do my reset and can get them out from behind that shelf. Yeah, just waiting on that feral, and then we'll have this team complete, so that's pretty sweet. Again, not all these guys were there from the beginning or the first issue or whatever, but I always consider Richter to be part of that team as well. Coming down here to the remainder of my X-Book team, so we got X-Factor on the left over there and Excalibur on the right. So I have Forge in with the X-Factor team back there. That's kind of where I consider him for this era. Moving over here to Excalibur, definitely I would say far and away the weakest of the X-Men teams, and then I just have Maverick and Callisto right there. Coming over here we have all my X-Book villains. Definitely gonna have an expansion for these guys coming soon. Just got all the pieces for that Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure, so I'm pretty happy about that. Got Jugs and Black Tom back there, they're one of my favorite duos. So under my X-Book display, we have my Power Rangers display. So for Power Rangers, I pretty much only stick to Mighty Morphin and the Boom Comic stuff. I got my Mighty Morphin team up here. I have both the Green Ranger and the White Ranger in the display. Yeah, I just didn't feel like it was fair to choose, so I threw them both in there. And plus in the new Boom run, there's both of them anyway at the same time, so that's pretty cool. They do have all 7 Rangers going. Yeah, if you aren't reading those new Boom comics, they're freaking amazing. They're one of the few modern books I'm reading right now, so it's a high recommend for me. Alright, so to the right of the Mighty Morphin team, we got the Moon Palace crew. So getting pretty close to having all these guys. We really just need Babu and Squat, so I'm imagining they'll come out in a 2-pack together. I'd be pretty surprised if they didn't. Got some of the monsters down here. I know a lot of people don't really like the monsters. They don't really like how they scale, but to me, I don't really mind. I like that the monsters are kind of bigger, because in the show they were just guys in suits, but if they could do like this digitally or anything like they do today, I feel like the monsters probably would be a lot bigger than the humans, so I kind of like the way they look. Over here we have some of my favorite figures, which are the TMNT Power Rangers crossover. That was an awesome crossover book. Super happy they made figures of those. So this is the one shelf you might see that kind of stands out. This is my girlfriend's shelf. So Lacey is very into Disney, Pixar, stop motion, all that jazz, so that's a lot of the stuff that she collects. Coming over here to my Ghostbusters shelf, so I'm really happy that we finally have original movie figures. They look pretty good too. I feel like these are very underrated. I know they didn't really have a lot of places to go with the line, but I'm glad we at least got the figures we got. Coming down here to my Star Wars stuff, so a lot of these retro figures were given to me by my boss. When he was kind of cleaning out his house, trying to get out of the game, he took them to a store. They offered him pennies on the dollar, so he just kind of hung on to them. After I'd been working there for a while, he's like, "Hey, you're kind of into toys and stuff like that, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." He's like, "Why don't you come over to my house and see if you'd be interested in any of the Star Wars stuff I have?" And as you can see, it was a pretty good haul, so probably one of the coolest things that's ever happened to me. Like I said, he just said he'd rather that they go to a good home than just sell them to someone who was going to sell them for 20 times more than they bought them for. So very excited to have these in my collection. Unfortunately, Star Wars is probably going to get scaled down to one shelf. I'm going to take out a lot of the Lego stuff and mostly just stick with the retro figures for that display. Moving over to my MOTU Origins display, so this is the only brand in my collection that I have no nostalgic attachment to, and that is because I was born too late. So I was born in '87, and I feel like if I was born 5 years earlier, this might have been my favorite brand as a kid. I feel like it just feels a lot like the Turtles. They're just big chunky figures. It's just a bunch of ridiculous designs and colors that all somehow come together and work so well. When I saw Wave 1 in stores, I really wanted to get them, but I'm like, I don't need to start collecting another line. And then Wave 2 never really came to the States. I saw Waves 3 and 4 at Target, had to talk myself out of buying them both times. And then around the time Wave 5 hit, I just went all in, started tracking down all the older figures, and pretty much have all the regular retail releases. I had all the Mattel Creations stuff. Recently got that $1 in. And I ended up selling a lot of the Mattel Creations stuff to pay for all the NECA stuff that came out in the spring. I really didn't see that wave of NECA figures coming, and as much as I liked that Duplicat and that Mini Comics Triclops, like, I just couldn't justify hanging on to that stuff when it was going for what it was going for, when all that NECA stuff was coming out that I just wanted way more. So it's just the way the collection goes sometimes. Sometimes you gotta sell stuff to be able to get other stuff, but really happy with the stuff I still have. Like I said, it's not like this brand really has any nostalgic meaning to me, so all this stuff is good enough to have in the collection, and yeah, I'm just happy to have the figures that I do. So coming over to G.I. Joe, so these are the 25th anniversary re-release figures. I know people weren't very stoked on these. I wasn't collecting then, so I didn't mind picking them up, and all the vehicles were pretty good too, but I am glad they're switching over to the O-ring figures. They're definitely made with cheaper plastic, but they look pretty good, so I'll probably just keep those in the card. Got Pimp Daddy Destro and the Regal variant Cobra Commander up there. Got those carded Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure figures, one of my favorite movies. I just don't know what to do with those right now. Coming down to my main Cobra display, so got Cobra Commander, the Baroness, and Destro in the middle there. Have 4 Cobra Troopers, 4 Cobra Infantry on all together. 2 of the Cobra Officers, and then I have 3 bats on that shelf, and then the bigger Super 7 bat too. So if I could find some more bats, that'd be cool. Same with the Alley Vipers, but pretty happy with the amount of troopers I have at this point anyway on that display. Coming down here, we got Major Blood and the Vipers. Got that exclusive Zartan back there. I still got him in package. Same with that Cobra Commander back there, even though I don't know when he's open, he still technically feels like he's out of package. Got the Vipers, Firefly. Coming down here too, really happy to get that new Storm Shadow. He looks sweet. Got him with those red ninjas. Coming over to Crocmaster, possibly the most ridiculous figure in the line now, but I love him. He's awesome. Coming down to the Joes, so a lot of repeat offenders on the Joe shelves. Got a Snake Eyes for every shelf. I am officially done buying Snake Eyes figures. I just got that Fortnite figure that I ordered like a year and a half ago, and I don't know if I'm just going to return it or what I'm going to do with that figure, but at this point I have enough Snake Eyes and I don't really need anything else. Yeah, so hopefully we start getting a lot more new Joes. Below my Joe stuff, we have the last few Lego sets that I still have on shelf. Yeah, so this whole collection was kind of sparked by Lego. I'll kind of go into that a little bit later, but it was definitely my gateway back into collecting. Alright, so moving over to the right is my Transformers display. This is all the War for Cybertron stuff, so I think the only Art Crew bots they didn't put out are Brawn, Windcharger, and Pipes. So I pretty much have the rest of them, so it's good enough representation for me. I'm not really actively going after any more Transformers stuff at the time. Soundwave's definitely my favorite, so you'll see him in here a couple times. I really like that one next to that Skyfire. He's my favorite figure in the line probably. So moving up to my Decepticons shelf, not really a rhyme or reason, just some of the bots that I like. We got that Astro Train back there, and then that Sound Blaster. He's a black Soundwave, so how could I not love him? Coming up to my manga / anime shelf, so stuff I really wasn't into till my mid to late 20s, but once I got into it, I got into it. Not really sure what direction I want to go with my Dragon Ball figures. I'm waiting a while to pull the trigger there. SH Figure Arts are definitely a lot better than the Dragon Stars, but they're way more expensive. So up here we got the One Punch McFarlane figure, and then the My Hero McFarlane figures. These are definitely my least favorite figures in the collection. McFarlane figures are not good figures. Coming up to my single Harry Potter shelf, so easily the nerdiest property that's probably in this room, but They're the only books I've read in my adult life that don't have pictures in them, so it'll always have a special place for me. Me and my girlfriend went to Universal a couple years ago. We pretty much spent the whole time in Moe's Tavern in Harry Potter World, and we had an absolute blast, so probably always have room for that stuff in here. Coming up to my Simpsons stuff, so got that Mr. Sparkle box over there. I actually like that box more than the vinyl that came in it. Got Series 1 of the Lego minifigures. I'll probably go after Series 2 one day eventually. But yeah, so the World of Springfield figures are actually the second line that I started collecting when I got back into collecting action figures. Clearly Playmates Vintage was my original line that I went after, but right after I started trying to get my hands on as many of these as I could, but eventually I just started getting into a lot more modern lines, and I kind of have a philosophy to always go after the modern stuff so that way I can get it at retail for retail price and I don't get stuck paying the late fees later. This stuff's been out forever. It's not really going to skyrocket in price anytime soon, and it is more of an affordable retro line to collect too. So whenever I'm ready to jump back into it, or I'm not collecting so much modern stuff, I will be just very excited to start doing that again though. I love these figures. I loved them. It kind of came out after I was out of collecting action figures as a kid, but still piqued my interest because I've always loved Simpsons so much. It's my favorite show of all time. And when I say that, I'm referring to the golden years like pretty much everybody does. So coming over to the Kenner retro carded figures. I loved this line when I was a kid, and I don't know what it is, but this is like one of my favorite retro lines for sure. I wish they would have went a little bit deeper. I didn't really grab the Toilet Monster or anything like that because I knew the line wasn't going to go anywhere further, but I wish they would have done more of the Ghostbusters variations, like the glow-in-the-dark ones would have been cool. Yeah, coming down to the Masters of the WWE Universe. This line is just ridiculous, and I loved it. You want to talk about hard figures to find? Those were it, though. Got the Rick and Morty shelf down here. That is a McFarlane building set, and God, that was a nightmare to put together. I have a couple Mario themed shelves below that that'll probably get combined to one shelf here coming up. One of my favorite video game franchises of all time. In front of my TV, which I don't really watch a whole lot. It's mostly just on when I'm in here rearranging stuff and stuff like that. But I do have all my Lego minifigures, and I'm really glad to have these on display. Minifigures were always one of my favorite parts of Lego, so I'm just glad I could have as many out here as I can. Some of the Star Wars stuff that's back there, I'm going to work these ones in. Same with those Disney figures, so this will be pretty much packed out with minifigures when I reset everything. There won't really be any more room, so it'll kind of be a finite display for the time being. But again, just happier that I can work some more Lego into the collection where I can. I've kind of had to be a little more creative about that, but Lego is something that I love, and I'd like to have it on display. And nothing too exciting down here, just my Switch and Xbox games, a couple Toy Biz figs that I do have, some DVD box sets over here, and then coming up top, so this is where I really got creative here, is hanging all the Lego stuff from the ceiling. Whenever I watched movies and stuff when I was a little kid, they'd always have like model planes and stuff hanging from the ceiling, and I always thought that was so rad. It's something I always wanted to do and never did when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want whenever I want. So spent a whole weekend hanging stuff from the ceiling. I had to use magnets to track out the studs by finding the screws in them, and then I kind of just made a grid on the ceiling and screwed all those hooks into the studs and just used fishing line to hold everything up, and nothing's fallen yet. So really happy that I can just get more Lego on display, and it's one of the first things people notice whenever they walk in the room. It's just really hits you when you walk in here because you don't see stuff hanging from the ceiling like that a whole lot. A couple of my favorite sets of all time over here, the Rex Danger Vest sets. The Rex Celsior is probably my favorite Lego set of all time. It's a spaceship shaped like a fist. The only thing that I can possibly think of that's negative about it is it's micro figure scale and not minifigure scale, but it is freaking amazing. Got my retro re-release Turtle Blimp over here. I know it's not the same one as the original, but it is a very cool statement piece, and I love having it there on the ceiling. Got another Lego turtle set over here. It's a water set, but still looks pretty cool on the ceiling up here. And again, just more ways to get Lego into the collection. Then I got Emmett and Lucy's Dreamhouse spaceship over here. Another ridiculous set, but that's what Lego is. Yeah, I'm just really happy to be able to have more Lego stuff in here, and hopefully one day when I have more room, I can bring some of it back out. And last thing, inside my closet over here, I got all my comics. They'll definitely be getting a video here one day, kind of show you what all I collect and stuff like that. Moving up top here is all my unopened figures, so I'll have to break all these guys out here soon, get them worked into the collection. Moving down here, I have all my accessories and stuff organized into these bins. Half of them are turtles and half of them are pretty much everything else. Alright you guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I will eventually be back with part 3. It's going to take me a while to kind of reset everything, get everything cleaned. I definitely don't think that's going to be something I'm going to be able to smash out in the next week, so it will be a little bit before part 3 comes out, but I do plan on starting to do some of what will, I guess, be considered the regular content on this channel. I'm pretty excited to just start being able to make some videos that are a little bit easier to make. These tour videos take a long time to edit and shoot. Pretty happy that I did learn how to add in the text in the middle of videos now, so I can correct myself when I say stupid things. Wasn't able to figure that out when I did my first video, so I definitely said a couple things wrong, like calling the one set of turtles Shogun turtles instead of samurai turtles, and then I think I referred to some of my comic book figures as toon figures at one time, so I'm sure people were doing the same thing I do when they're watching the videos and being like, huh, this idiot doesn't even know what he's talking about. But when you're going on these long rants, your brain just kind of goes to some weird places and stuff just falls out of your mouth and you don't really realize what comes out until you watch the video later. So yeah, thank you to everyone that watched my first video. At the time of recording this, I actually just went over 350 views on that video, so pretty happy about that. Alright, and last, I just want to give a huge thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the channel. So I know a lot of people are probably just my friends and family that would subscribe and watch my videos no matter how terrible they are, but to anybody that I don't know that has subscribed to the channel, thank you very, very much. I hope I can keep your interest. Feel free to comment on the videos. I want to hear your 2 cents, even if you disagree with things I say. If you think I'm a moron, let's have a discussion about it. That's what this channel is for. But again, just thank you very much. Alright guys, please like the video if you would, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Peace.